gentlemen, I present to you No Shame, my personal favorite album, actually. Of all the Pecker albums, I think this is still my favorite.
Is it your favorite art, too?
That's tough. I don't know if it's the favorite art.
Yeah.
But, oh, wait. I just thought about the inside of the art where we're dressed
as the Chippendales dancers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder.
Maybe it is my favorite.
I think that's in the vinyl, too.
Is it?
I think, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, because I think it's real big in the vinyl.
And that's the water shot, right, as well?
Oh, yeah, there's the water shot in there.
Yeah, maybe it is the
Yeah.
best art.
Yeah.
And then the back has Danny?
Yes.
As a skeleton,
yes,
right?
I mean,
Yeah. He's still, you're just coming out of In With the
Yeah,
Wolves,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
right.
does he have his skin back?
Not sure.
Or is it just Ocean,
think- no, I-
Skulkanuts, and him?
I think it's Danny still.
Skeleton,
Still
right?
stripped, right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh my God, we are wild.
And then Ben with the chick in the front.
Yes.
With the Skulkanuts tattoo.
Yes, and some of his true art because it was inspired by Alava.
Yes.
Right?
True.
Right.
Yeah.
And also leaving the darkness and coming out popping bright with the cover.
Yes. Yes.
Whites and blues
Yeah.
and just
Kind of hitting a sweet spot, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the stride.
Yeah.
And so when we went into making this record, because we did a lot of the pre-production at what is now the observatory.
Yes.
Oh,
Used to
and
be the
was
Galaxy.
The Galaxy.
Right.
When we were doing pre-production, it was the Galaxy,
Yeah,
right?
upstairs.
Wait a minute. Really?
Yes.
I
And this was
forgot
also
Zach Barnhorse.
yes.
Oh,
And this was also because the Galaxy and the Coach House was owned by Gary.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And Sally
book.
had such good relations with Gary. He was like, "Oh, you can use the upstairs
Yeah.
to do your
He
pre-production
liked
for
us
this
too.
next
He always
record."
took good care of us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, did we know that it was going to be on a major label when we started making it, or did that come after we started pre-production?
We
already?
knew before.
Okay.
Because Flan and that
Yep.
whole thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's set in stone at
Yeah.
Lava Records.
Right. So this was the weird thing was that we had put out In With the Old,
Right.
but
Conatown was just...
Conatown leapfrogs
Because-
In With the Old.
Giving it. I'm sorry.
Give It Up.
Give It Up.
Thank you. Give it
Yeah,
up.
because the skit gets edited out of Give It Up.
Yes.
And it blows up on
And we do
K-Rock.
the your knees, I'm down on my knees.
Yes, yes. You can't be down on their knees.
Can't
We
be
had
down
to
on
be
the-
down on our
It's
knees.
our
Of
knees.
course, naturally.
And so that song takes off. Big up K-Rock,
Yes.
Stryker, Jed the Fish,
ESPN.
Yeah, all the old school radio brothers
Hell
and
yeah.
sisters. Lisa Warden,
Lisa
Kevin and
Warden, Kevin
Bean,
Lyman, Kevin and Bean.
everyone. And so it takes off on radio. And next thing you know, it's like your stereotypical thing that happens to bands that are fortunate enough to get to that point where, oh, you're on an independent label. Now all these major labels want to sign you.
Yes.
And I remember us being on tour after the van wreck, and we were in a RV at the time.
Yep.
And
T.
all of a sudden, getting calls from everyone. I think we were on the East Coast at the time, and getting calls from everyone like,
Florida.
"Oh my God, they're literally playing your guys' song every hour on the hour
Yeah.
on K-Rock."
People were worried. They weren't pumping us up. They're like, I don't know what's happening to the radio. It sucks.
Yeah.
They're only playing Packer over and over and
Yeah,
over.
why are they playing? Did they die?
Are they okay?
Yeah.
So because, like we were talking about in the other episode, the song got walked in. Jed the Fish played it on his show as the Fresh Catch. It catches all tons of fire. Number one
Exactly.
requested. Number one everything.
Totally embraced by K-Rock. Money Matt,
Yeah.
Lightning,
And
Paul,
then-
Brad, everybody.
And then, long story short, after hearing from all these major labels that wanted to sign us, we end up signing with Jason Flom and Lava Records, which was a subsidiary of Atlantic Records at the
What
time.
a gentleman, by the way.
Yes.
He
Yeah.
was everything you'd heard about him and much more.
Yeah, and I think like Lava had put out OAR, they'd put out Kid Rock,
couple more, yeah.
They'd put out, so they had a bunch of huge
Yeah.
successes.
Yeah.
And then Flom signs us, and so at that point we're all psyched. We're gonna make our first major label record, so we're heading into the Galaxy. We've got some songs,
Got some
We're
momentum.
gonna start working them out, and we start pre-production.
Yeah.
and it's with Zach Barnhorst, and that leads me to the first song, "Bring Me Along," which.
Is that track one?
Yeah, that's track one, which was, I think, one of the only songs that went from the demo stage directly onto the album, right? Because I don't think.
So where did we
anyone-
record it?
Oh, good. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
he's right. Alluding back in the last month when we did In With the Old, I think when we filmed that.
Yeah.
We talked about that 8-track demo,
Yep.
the digital thing.
Yes.
That I
Yep.
was gifted by Pat.
Oh, got it.
Pat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Muff's
Rucker.
Muff's
Yes.
biggest fan.
Yes,
Pat.
absolutely.
God bless you, Pat.
Peanuts.
Wherever you are, brother. Peanuts.
Yeah.
Yep.
Basically
Favorite.
produced that song.
Yep.
But he gifted that piece of recording equipment, which was, I still have it today. It's incredible. He also gave Raimi some. He gifted us this cool stuff.
He was
Yeah.
rad.
But that's where I started really the demoing, like you said, a lot of stuff that ends up on there. Learning how to record at home was
Yeah.
really good for me because I don't know much about music and you know that and whatever. Anyway, to get my chops going with that and learn different things and figure out drum grooves and guitar parts and how you know what I'm saying? Like to give it a different look. You're going to play the way you're going to play. He's going to play, I'm going to play. But to do that and on this little machine, but there were some pretty developed tunes top to bottom on that demo, on that machine.
Right.
And Bring Me Along was one of those ones that had pretty much the majority of the ideas, except it was stuck in this tiny little shitty robot jukebox.
Right.
And it sounded like that.
Right.
And that was, yeah.
So did we re-record that, or is it just from the machine?
No, we recorded all of those. And I remember I had to bring the machine in to the Hive because Hexum was like,
So Hex did the first production
Yeah.
of Bring Me Along. I mean, not the first, but
he did the only besides the demos
Right,
that I'd
got you.
already dialed in. And we had pretty good demos, by the way, but we're jumping ahead.
yeah.
Yeah.
Nick Hexum produced that.
Well, this was kind of like now we have a major label behind us. Now we have time and money.
Right.
This is something we've never had before.
Right.
Recording.
Right.
It was always get into the studio. You got 3 weeks because you have tour for another 7 weeks rapidly right after that, like the next day. And that was a vicious cycle.
Right.
This long enough timeline, this is perfect burnout recipe.
Yeah.
And which we will hit
Yeah.
in the next podcast.
Yeah.
So here we are. No shame. Bring me along. So this is a Hex.
This is a Hex thing because similar to, it was kind of interesting because we met or got to them and their studio through Ron St. Germain,
And In With
who
the
is the
Old.
producer of In With the Old.
Right.
Yeah.
And awesome and did all their records and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Then we're just there and that's where 311 kind of got wind of Pepper.
Right.
Right? We'd already had wind of them. So did the rest of the world.
Yes.
And I think it was the Santa Barbara Bowl, some show we were doing with them. And Nick came down the green room and was like, "What's up, boys? I haven't seen you guys since you did In With the Old or something like that. You know, whatever it was.
Yeah.
Stoked to jam with you guys. Hey, I produce. Let me do a song."
Oh, yeah.
And we're like, "Sure, Nick Hexum."
Was that like the roundup at Santa Barbara Bowl or something?
like that. Some little festival like that. And,
Yeah.
and of course, we're like, you know, me in my head going all the way back to Coloco with the Scirocco, hearing 311 for the first
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
Be
yeah.
like, what the fuck? And just the nicest people, as we already know, and kind of hung with them in their studio. They made us feel so welcome. So he made us feel welcome again.
Right.
And that actually led to going on tour with them because I think one of us was smart enough to be like, yeah, you can produce a song if you bring us on tour.
Yeah.
Might have been you.
Yeah.
Or you, I don't know.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was when we were already in the story you're talking about was when we were already in the studio with him.
Oh, it was a reverse.
And we were making the music with him, and we had a camcorder or something. And I remember being like, "Boys, watch this." And Hex was sitting like at the table in the lounge of the Hive.
I like this.
And I like tap Hex on the back. I'm like, "Hex, so what? You're gonna have to take us on tour after we finish this record, right?" And he turned around. He's like, "I don't." And he saw that I was filming him. He's like, "Yeah, I guess so, man."
You
Oh,
And we were like, "We
wow.
got you. We got you."
Candid camera.
Granted, it was in everyone's best interest to take
Of
the tour because he
course.
was producing the record.
Absolutely.
But
Nice
that's
call.
what so I think when we started the pre-production with Barnhorst, I think we were heading down like, okay, cool, let's do the pre-production for this whole record.
Yeah.
And then I think the major label intervened and said, we need to get
Some
names on this thing.
Yeah.
That's where the first idea, I think, was Hex. And then Paul Leary. obviously,
Leary.
Because majority of No Shame was half Hex, half Leary.
Majority, yes, you're
Yeah.
right.
Right.
So did the Hex idea come before the Paul Leary idea?
I think honestly, I think Hex, like he said,
Yeah.
I think Hex approached the vibe for us.
Right.
We said to the record label, "Hey, this is a good fit." Like,
Yeah.
hey, they're kind of right. But then I think Silverback actually went after Paul Leary because
Right.
of Paul Leary's success on Sublime.
Yes, yes.
Right.
And then
Right.
Silverback telling the record label like, hey, we think this is going to be a good fit. Record label going, yeah, it worked for them, so hopefully it'll work for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
exactly.
We already had success
Right.
one time. Let's try it again. But going back to the Hex, he said, let me produce a song. How many songs did we end up doing with Hex? Half the record?
Yeah.
How many songs are on the record?
Like,
There's 20?
yeah. Well,
What?
including the
17?
skits?
Yeah.
Well, skits too.
Yeah. Oh,
Skits.
there's skits. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah. So,
Wow.
Right.
Holy crap. Well, let's dig into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy
Let's dig in.
Oh,
Okay.
my God.
So Hex says, bring me along.
Yep.
Okay.
So, but that's the thing. I thought Bring Me Along was the only one that went straight from the demo stage to not going through another producer.
I'm pretty sure I remember because I was working with Bret on this and the demo was all complete. I think the arrangement was all great and it was done.
Yeah.
But I remember adding things from the demo to the actual recording.
Yeah.
But then embellishing those things in the studio with Hex. I remember specifically the acoustic guitar, a nylon string.
The guitar hook part.
No, actually,
Oh, the
I'm-
bass symphony.
the bass symphony. I remember adding like the nylon string to the bass track.
Yeah, that was
and then
genius.
and then like making it just like
to make a shadow
thick.
of the bass.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Like a sticky thing.
but more bassy. Not like a ticka ticka.
Okay.
it was
Yeah, just like-
more. It needed more blankets and less blankets
At the same time.
He's right. No, but to go back to the thing, the demos on that machine are not what's on there.
Oh, got it.
No,
Yeah.
that was not.
okay.
No, we recut everything. Later, you'll hear. So they did make it from that little machine.
Yes, I know what you're
Later,
talking about.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
But no, we recorded all of that new.
Wow. Okay.
All of that, including the ideas on that.
So we did that at the Hive.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely, we
So
did.
that's where because I remember being all psyched on the Bring Me Along drum part
Yes.
because I chopped heart-shaped box. June, June.
Oh,
was my
nice.
idea.
You were so
one.
proud
behind
of that.
the drum
'cause-
part is
yeah.
I was like, oh, sick. This is kind of like hard. Totally different song.
Hey.
But same idea between the drums on the hook.
Well, it makes the hook.
Yeah.
There's that. We didn't do anything like that. That's so funny. Our old grunge, early rook.
Yes, like we were talking
rook,
about.
little rucked, just absolutely obsessed with grunge. Not that you weren't either,
this,
but like
got that.
coming around the back end. Yeah, but
Yeah.
a
Shit
little
up.
big end. Rum, dung,
Yeah,
boom.
yeah.
But we would have never thought of that. And that dark sound kind of coming out of No Shame was still, or not No Shame, sorry.
In With the Old.
was
In With
last.
the Old.
We weren't
Yeah.
afraid of the darkness, but we didn't need to shove it into the record.
Exactly.
Right.
That song was so light. It was almost like the perfect mixture of our Jawaiian.
Yeah.
Right.
And our Jawaiian like workshop.
Yeah.
And then actually adding more pop
There you go.
into the Jawaiian.
Right.
And making it a whole nother hybrid of everything we've accumulated in the past.
We
Right.
play it live right now, or right now.
Yeah.
Last tour.
Yep.
Yeah.
And to those days live, doom, doom. How lame would have been just like
Yeah.
do the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like,
But it is funny how
call.
that when you break it down on paper, especially even the chorus, it's so Jawaiian.
Well, that intro guitar.
Yeah.
Blank, blank,
Fishing
blank,
tails.
blank, blank, fishing
Yes.
tails. Right.
Absolutely fishing tails.
It's almost kind of like, you know what? We're never going to be Jawaiian, but this is what we are.
Yeah.
And there is a definite line of communication there of
This is
where this is from.
we love this. We aren't this.
yeah.
But we're from this.
This is our Jawaiian truth.
This is our Hawaiian
Which
truth.
honestly is like why we had to leave Hawaii in the first place.
Started with Poncho.
Yeah.
And also Mike Sakamoto's Fishing Tails.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was so between Jawaiian, grunge, and a Hawaiian fishing show.
Yeah.
Out the other end came Bring Me Along.
Here we
Yep.
go.
And that one
Here
is
we
like
go.
probably one that we play 90% of the
Yeah.
time that we're
Yeah.
out there.
And still fun. Thank
Yeah.
God for those drum things.
I mean, we're just talking about No Shame in general is such, like Bret, you're saying it's your favorite album. It's a favorite album of like, because you look at the next song, Rent. We play that
Oh, there you
pretty
go.
much.
Rent.
There you go.
We play that pretty much.
Almost every show.
Every
I
other
think
show,
we just do
every-
that. Yeah.
Interesting one about that. That's not produced by Nick Hexum or Paul Leary.
Yep.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Is it? So
No.
there's a third producer on this album.
Well, I mean, I think there was more, right? I don't,
shit, I
and I
don't
think
know.
some of the tracks didn't make it, but that was Tony Canal from No Doubt.
There you go.
Right.
And he didn't do too bad.
No, it was and also too, this is the time now where technology is switching into home studios
Oh, yeah.
instead of studios. So when I went to his house and we basically like, let's see, we went to a studio to get it on tape. Then we went to his house to like highlight it. Kind of like with Krivak.
Wasn't his brother or something? Was like the engineer?
Yeah.
His brother was the engineer. And it was just like that song like was just good right off the get-go because we started jamming it.
Yeah.
But there was no chorus yet. There was just no, it was like, the chorus was not what it is.
Yeah.
And so we're really looking for a chorus. And we like went through it. I think at the end, Zach Barnhorse we worked something through, whereas like we make money.
Yeah.
We take money.
Yeah.
Or it takes money.
Yeah.
Okay. But the original version with Tony didn't have that?
No. The original version was actually done at the Galaxy upstairs. Yeah. And then Tony came in and he produced it just kind of like instrumentation wise, but it was already written.
Yeah.
And the arrangement was already there. So pretty easy to wrap that one up. Took like a day or two.
Nice.
Right.
And that was even too, that was kind of, if it wasn't for Atlantic, you think Tony would have ended up working on that song? Or was that more of like a
Or
Atlantic,
any of those guys?
Yeah,
I
or
wonder.
Atlantic pushing like, oh, we need to get another flavor on this.
Well, like this is our very first major label deal. So I'm certain that Atlantic is just like, well, okay,
What's
this is kind of in
changed?
their genre. This is kind of in their genre. Whatever names we can get from the genre and pull from their fan base, that's what will get us far.
Good call. And how cool the three producers are all like their own like legit artists that decided to do production.
Yeah.
Right.
Tony Canal, No Doubt.
Yep.
Nick Hexum, 311.
Yep.
Paul Leary, the Butthole Surfers.
Exactly.
These aren't Ron St. Germain and come up in a band and do all that. Like, no, these are all artists first. And I think maybe you're hitting on why this worked out so good for us, because instead of just having a producer, we had artist producers.
Yeah.
Because I remember feeling so good about that. My only bummer though, going back to Rent, is I was so pumped. I was like, Tony's doing that? I didn't think I knew till like last minute, go up to the studio. And he's like, what do you think about the bass part or whatever thing? I was like, yeah, it's kind of what I'm playing, whatever. Like, do you have any ideas? I mean, you're a bass player, like a real one. He's like, yeah, I don't know. He kept doing like, yeah, I don't know. And I was like, oh, I don't know either. And it was just like, okay, well, you want to try it? Yeah, I'll try it. And then finally do a couple. He's like, he's like, kind of, it was cool, but it wasn't exactly hitting on there. And I was like, hey man, do you want to take a pass? You're a sick bass player. I'd love to hear you do anything.
Yeah.
And he was like, no. This is your art. This is your what. And I was like, my what?
Yeah.
I've just never thought of it like that. I still to this day don't.
Yeah,
That's
of
great.
course.
I was like, we're just musicians, whatever we are. This is just Pepper. But jump in there, excited to share.
Yeah.
Because before that, it was like, Nick was like, give me this fucking guitar. You don't know, you don't even need a Z minor chord. Nick was just coaching you up, but in such a cool way, but I couldn't get him to do it. So if I'm honest, I don't know exactly what I played or did on that song, if I'm purely honest.
Yeah.
I think I played some, but maybe he went back and was like, okay, sick.
Yeah. It's like what we talked about with Clonatown with Don Horn.
Yeah.
It's like, I have no idea.
Oh, I have a feeling that Donathan Horn was back up in that, because I don't remember in that way. It was just very quick for that one exactly. It was fun. He was fun to hang out.
Hex would always send us home to. He'd be like, okay, you guys go. I'm going to do my Hex stuff.
Oh yeah.
Tonight, and then just come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. And he would lay his keys, whatever keys he was doing on.
Bass, guitar,
Yeah.
the key he played. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Totally different productions, but
Yeah.
all artists in their own right. And he was so fun to hang out with. I don't know if I played much bass either, but it was a good hang.
So we had Bring Me Along and Rent.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. Right off the bat, this is no shame.
Yeah.
Wow.
And guess
This
what
is
the third one is?
Tell me.
No Control.
Oh, what a good start.
Which will be the first Leary produced track of the record, right?
This is
Oh
incredible.
my God.
So all three of the front runners are just out.
Are constantly
right off
played.
the gate. Yeah,
Wait,
right.
Constantly
1,
played.
2, 3 3 different producers in a row, 3 different songs in a row.
Yeah.
Yep.
On the same album.
And all mainstays. Of the live
exactly.
set. Pretty much.
Wow.
And I remember No Control. I brought it in. It was a late runner.
Yep.
Really late.
But we did that. I remember we did the first version of that at the Galaxy upstairs.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
Barnhorse.
What else did we do there? I don't remember shit from that.
Yeah. No, I remember we did it because it was like there was like a.
The upstairs room, right?
The upstairs room.
With Barnhorse. I think I remember
where the
Barnhorse.
green room is now.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
Literally,
right.
up those stairs.
Up those stairs.
To the you walk in the back, those stairs to the right.
Yeah.
But it was just a little like storage room up there.
Exactly. Now it's a sick green room. Guys,
Yeah.
if you ever break in backstage, go up the stairs to the right.
Yeah.
See where
it's
No Shame started.
It's the observatory now.
And,
excuse me.
No Control was definitely because this is the point of our lives where we are watching Slane Castle
Oh yeah.
every
On
single
repeat.
night on the Whalers and 311 tour.
Yeah, the Red Hot Chili Peppers
Okay.
live from Slane Castle.
Okay,
my God.
so we used to watch this before going out on stage.
Yeah.
In the bus.
And
It was a
why would
must.
we watch it? Are you asking? It's just it's a Red Hot Chili Peppers playing live in a beautiful, beautiful venue called Slane Castle
In Ireland,
right?
For what? 40, 50, 60,000 people.
Yeah.
It's
So- yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
sold out.
A
This is where
Noverdome.
U2 plays. It's so stunning. It's everything you can think of. But this particular performance
Yeah.
spoke to us.
Yes.
it was
Spoke volumes.
Volumes.
We're just like, okay, this is the level now. They brought everything.
This
to
is
that.
the bar for playing
That
live.
is the bar.
Chili Peppers were already up there with all the greats.
Yeah.
Energy, performance, precision, songs. But oh shit.
But man, it was like, and so that was basically like when you listen to it, there's like no miscommunication. Like
Yeah.
that is like you're hearing Frusciante-esque
Yep.
like guitars for the verse, and you're hearing like a Kiedis kind of delivery for the chorus vocally.
No longer
Yep.
some rappy, some really good singing.
Yeah.
Really
Yeah.
good singing.
Exactly.
Full energy though. Still
The
full
whole
punk
time.
rock.
Right.
Flea, you don't even need to say Flea. Chad, you know, just rock solid.
Yep.
You're so right. But the bar for live performance, which we've always loved, I think maybe
Yeah.
the most in our whole lives, that was a new bar when we
Yeah.
saw that. And we all unanimously were like, we need to watch this before we go on stage.
Yeah, remember even the editing? There was like those like trippy like
Yeah, yeah.
Strobe things that
exactly.
were like,
yeah. It was like before there was 360 cams. Like
Yeah.
that same vibe.
it was kind of like that.
Yeah.
And then this is going to be fantastic because that track is the one that we did the video for
Yeah.
Yeah.
when we got back from tour.
Right. Like the day after
The
we
day
got
after
back from tour.
Right.
Yeah.
Boom. Right into it. And this is going to come down later as well. So that one had great traction radio wise. Atlantic's like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
But then there's a situation that we'll get to on down the line where things went haywire.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Yeah. And it'll all make sense if you keep listening. Just
keep
remember,
listening.
just remember like, okay, we got some steam with No Control.
Yeah.
Moving into.
Hence why we made a video. for
Right.
it.
Exactly. Exactly.
We
Yeah.
were doing everything we were supposed to do, it felt like.
Yep.
Well, no, it wasn't on us either.
Yeah.
And then moving.
But wait, before that, what
Yeah.
about tracking it though? Because I remember that being a fun.
Oh.
That was with Leary.
Yeah, that was with Larry. That
With
was,
Leary at Total Access.
Yeah.
We had a great
right
time.
next door.
Paul Leary,
It
Jesus, what
so,
a guy.
So when we're in there recording, we were kind of like all of us just in out. Like he was so happy and he would just have his bong and he would just be listening and he'd be like, "You're done."
Was that
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Was that here at Total
Right,
Access?
Total Access.
Yeah.
So right next door to
Yeah.
our studio,
We-
Conantown Recording is Total Access.
Exactly.
The sister studio.
Boom.
And I think that was like that whole, even with Hex, it was such like we'd go in and we'd play the song once or twice, and Hex, same thing, he'd be like, "You're hired."
Yep.
And we'd
Yeah,
be like, "Wait,
God
you don't
bless
want me to do it 15 more times?"
Yeah.
Nope.
Like-
Like, no.
Like
why
for-
would?
yeah, we
Yeah.
already got it.
Yeah, why would we want you to
This
do
is what he's talking about the player
Thank
producer.
you.
Yes.
Thank you. You're
Yes.
right. And how cool already. Look at all this action. Look at how much action we get.
Yeah.
3 songs in.
I know.
You guys get 3 different producers. Who you guys think you is? Major
Yeah.
label, what?
Yes.
Hey, well, you guys
Yes.
you're gonna be main stage in a shit.
Oh,
Wait.
come on,
Yeah.
so you guys main stage. No,
Yeah.
you're so right. The vibe was so different in that too. We were already familiar and happy with Hex and comfortable in that we did a whole record in his studio.
Yeah.
Except unlike Saint, he was like, it's the vibe, get in there. We get cozy. Remember, he'd run his marathons.
Yep.
We'd huff, we'd have some beers, whatever.
Yep.
Knock it out, yeah, boys. And he'd be like, you guys are hired, get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he'd Hex do his thing.
Yeah.
Leary was similar vibe too. Like we get in there, set an intention, set a vibe, let's get all the sickest stuff. We jam it out. And then what we would do after that? What was his thing?
Okay, so Larry used to do this. I'll always remember that. Well, he probably still does this, but for this time, like he'd be like, oh man, man, I don't need any more. But if you want to go, I'll go with you.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? And like, he's like, yeah, sure, I'll do another one. I feel good. So he's like, we don't need to. But if you want to, I'm gonna go with you.
I sure would like one more.
Okay, great. Okay, let's do it again. He's like, coming up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And
Like
that
it
would
was.
always, wouldn't that kind of be the fun take?
Now it's like he just loosened it up, where it's like, I don't need it anymore. But if you want to, if you want to go, I'm gonna go with you.
And how could you not go after that?
Yo,
Let's
after
go one more
that, after
time.
that kind of like, it was like a subtle confidence. That would raise up. You're like, well,
It was
I
interesting.
kind of want to go again.
Yeah.
Fellow artist
Yes.
versus a producer.
Yeah,
right.
and it was such an interesting thing finding that realization pretty early on in the process of like, oh, we're not just going to be like held to the grindstone on this record. It's more just about having fun.
Yes.
Wow.
There it is.
And then realizing that,
There it is.
And then realizing that at first, and I'm like, oh shit, it's on. Let's do this.
You guys already know
then-
your songs.
Yeah.
You wrote them. You already played them 72,000 times.
We started to produce ourselves harder than the artist producers that were
That's
producing
true.
us.
Yeah.
And we were demoing.
Like, no, I'm going to take one more.
before, Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah. Yeah.
They knew what they wanted. They were
Yeah.
artists. They know what. It's a beautiful combo.
Yeah. Okay, so now, welcome to the very first fun recording process.
Yes.
That's another key thing. Thank you
Right?
for saying that.
Okay.
Why is it your favorite album? For many, many reasons.
Yep.
Here's another one. We were having a blast.
And we had major label funds.
Throwing
So,
money around.
how much is that Toro?
Yeah.
Yeah, 5,000? Yeah, give me 8.
Bigs up to Atlantic Lava for just
we don't
spreading
have
it
to
on.
return these guitars now.
No.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
nice.
Oh, you could just have this. Like, sure, I can keep this. Yeah.
When we got the money.
Money.
Ka-ching!
That was fun.